I'm Shannon, and this year I completed Peachtober. For anyone who doesn't know, Peachtober is a month-long drawing challenge where you complete one piece of artwork every day in the month of October. This is a goal that I've had for a really long time, but due to time and lack of planning, I have found it really hard to actually complete the challenge. But this year I managed to do it. I did miss one day, but I caught up the following day, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But this is how I did it, this is what I've learned, and if I would do it again. I chose to do Peachtober because the prompts just resonate a lot more with me. I've tried Inktober in the past, but I find that their prompts are a little too abstract and hard for me to figure out. Peachtober is run by an artist called Fairy Little Peach, and the prompts that they make are just a lot more simple, which is a lot better for the type of drawing that I do. My artwork is primarily based sort of like children's storybook style, so these abstract prompts from Inktober don't really fit with how I work and what my style is, although a lot of them are open for interpretation and do need things that are a little bit more literal to help me design effectively. This year I did a lot more planning than I have in previous years when I've tried this challenge. I did mind maps for each of the prompts to figure out different words that I might be able to associate with the prompts. I came up with little sketches for each of them and drew a final piece in a sketchbook before turning it digital. This did kind of stop happening as I got later into the challenge and I was trying to catch up a lot more. I found that I was kind of running out of time and didn't have time to sit down and sketch before finishing the digital product. This didn't really have a huge impact though. I still managed to keep up, and a lot of the prompts that I didn't sketch, I already had a very clear idea in mind. The sketching kind of helped to figure out what I was going for and make it a bit more visual rather than just sitting with an empty page on Procreate. All of the work that I created was digitally done in Procreate. This is the primary app that I use for all of my art, so this was really good because I didn't want to challenge myself to try a new medium, because this would just make a month-long drawing challenge even more difficult, which is not what you need when it's already stressful enough. So by the end of this challenge I had 31 new pieces of finalized art. There are some that I would love to dip back into to finish off properly because I maybe rushed a little bit just to try and make sure it was posted on time, but overall I'm so happy with all of the work that I made, and I feel like it's really helped me figure out myself as an artist a little bit more, what I like doing, what I don't like doing, what things I'm interested in, and what excites me to actually make work on. I found that I was quite safe on a lot of my drawings, and some of them are the ones that I'm not as happy with. The ones where I challenged myself a little bit more and tried a little bit harder are the ones that I like the best. But with the limited constraints of time, it's hard to come up with like a fully, completely rendered final piece, and sometimes you just need to do something that's a little bit quick and easy just to get something posted. I think that overall, I'm happy with the majority of the pieces, but even the ones that I'm not, I've found things that I need to work on as an artist and things that I want to try and improve on, which is another reason why I really enjoy doing Peachtober. I think sometimes I always create art that I know is going to be good and things that I know that I'm going to be happy with, whereas this made me make things that I wasn't happy with, and that made me realize why I wasn't happy with it, what I need to improve on, and how I can improve on that going forward. Some things that I think went really well with doing Peachtober is that it kind of made me realize that I can work to prompts. I think sometimes I get a little bit hung up on not having like a fully realized idea, and that makes it really hard to draw sometimes. But I found that when I had these prompts, it was like, oh, like this is something I can do, or this kind of fits with the theme, so we'll go with that. And that made it easier to come up with ideas. And I was a little bit worried because a lot of the time I can get a little bit lazy with drawing and art, and when I'm not feeling it, I find it really hard to get into a state where I want to be drawing. But I found that the more I got into it, the more I was excited to actually finish the pieces I was working on. I feel like throughout the challenge I found more of a style and things that I wanted to do. I did try to work with like a more limited colour palette because I found it in past years when I've tried this, it's been a little bit overwhelming. So I was like, maybe if I have more limitations, it's going to make it easier. And it definitely did. A lot of the work that I've done is very like autumnal themed and nature themed, which is a lot of what I do in my normal work anyways. I found that doing this challenge really helped me to push my skills and think about things in different ways. I think a lot of the time I can be a little bit stuck in the themes that I'm drawing, what I like drawing, and I don't really go outside of that. It made me look at different ideas, different options, and look at my art in a different way. I made some pieces that I really loved during this time. There are some that I'm not really as happy with, but I think when I look at them I can see potential and things that I want to improve on, which is also another thing that's really good about this challenge. Even the pieces that I'm not 100% happy with, I posted, and usually this would be something that would hold me back. If I'm not 100% on something, I wouldn't want to share it. But even the pieces that weren't 100% still got nice interactions on, which is really lovely to see. I think that sometimes posting online can be a bit scary, so if I wasn't 100% happy, usually that would just sit in my Procreate library for the rest of my life. But this has kind of made me realise that it doesn't have to, and nothing needs to be like 100% before you share it, and people are gonna engage with it and like it anyways. Peachtober has helped to improve my confidence when it comes to art and sharing online. I think there was a bit of a block at first where I was a little bit scared, but that left as I got further into the project, which was a really nice thing to notice. Peachtober really helped me to push myself into work that I really have enjoyed doing, but I wouldn't do normally. Maybe this is something that I don't think other people would like, or I wasn't sure if I would be able to do it at my skill level, but I'm really happy with the way that things have turned out and how they look, and it's made me want to explore these ideas more and want to expand on things. There were some prompts where I had more than one idea, but I couldn't do both of them, and now I've got more ideas than ever, which is a great place to be in. Overall, my experience has been so positive, and some of the things I'm most happy with is pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I've tried new things with like lighting and filling up spaces, and as I went through I was definitely trying to develop that scene building. I just have so much that I want to keep doing and keep working on. So a few key things that I noticed as I was going through this challenge is that I'm not very good at drawing backgrounds and like scenes for characters. A lot of my work for this challenge kind of felt a little bit empty, and like the world wasn't really like alive around the characters or around the scene. It just felt a little bit flat. And I kept noticing this, like I was doing the piece and I was like, something is missing. It doesn't feel complete, it doesn't feel finished. And I was looking at all of these other people's works and I was like, that feels like it's done, and why is that different in my work? So I think that's something I definitely want to work on moving forward, and I've already started doing little sketches and thinking of different ideas about how to fill up a scene so it feels like more lived in and more real rather than just feeling like a drawing. I know that I need to work a little bit more on character design and how this works. I did do a few different characters throughout the challenge, but it was really difficult, and those were the pieces that took me the longest time to complete. Like, it took me the entire day to do this one piece, or I had to work on it over 2 days, which is also fine. As long as you're drawing every day, I feel like it's fine. And those are some of the pieces I'm really happy with, but I just don't want it to be as hard, because I love drawing characters, I love creating designs, and if I had more of an understanding of things like anatomy and how character design works, that would be a lot easier. A lot of the work that I do is self-taught, and I kind of just wing it all the time. So maybe if I actually look to like train a little bit more, figure out how that actually works, that would make my work a little bit easier. So it's good to know different things that I need to do to improve, rather than just thinking, oh, it's fine, I don't need to know that. but this has definitely helped me realise that there is stuff that I need to work on, and I'm hoping I can do that moving forward. If I was to do Peachtober again, here are some things that I would do to make sure that it went smoothly. I would do a lot more planning. I think some of the prompts I didn't have a solid enough idea, so it was really difficult and I kind of just had to do something very quickly on the day. Or I hadn't done any planning the previous day, so I was kind of very rushed and didn't make a piece that I was super happy with on the actual day that I was posting. I would recommend not doing a piece just on one day. Maybe do the sketch the day before and then do the realised version the next day, or even over a few days. It's really hard to create a full piece of art that you're really happy with in one sitting, or at least in my personal opinion it is. I think some of the prompts are a little bit trickier, or they're not as open for interpretation, and I found it quite hard to come up with creative responses. I would say it's good to look at the work other people are doing, definitely engage with that, but don't compare your work to everyone else. Everyone else has their own way of working, their own skill level. I found it a little bit disheartening when I was posting a prompt I was really proud of, and then looking at everyone else's and being like, oh well, theirs is so much better. That's not helpful. Like, it's better to think about like, what have they done in their piece that I haven't, that I would like to try the next time. It's so nice to have creative communities, but if you're doing that only to put yourself down, it's unhelpful. And I think just look at that through the lens of what can I be doing better, not oh my god I'm so rubbish as an artist, because then you're never going to create anything. Engage with the community if you're doing Peachtober, but not overly engaging, not consuming so much media that you then feel rubbish about everything that you're doing. That's not helpful for anyone. Another tip that I would give is to use a medium that you're comfortable with. I know some people use this challenge as a place to like try a lot of new media, which I think is fine maybe when you're used to the format of Peachtober, but on your first try, if you've never used watercolours before and you're like, no, I'm doing the full challenge in watercolour, you're probably going to get a little bit disheartened and not really make work that you're that happy with. Stick to something you know, or you can also try different media. Like, you don't have to stick to the same one throughout the whole thing. I would say another thing is to try and think up your own theme to go along with Peachtober. You may think that having more limitations would make it harder, but it actually doesn't. It makes it a little bit easier, because when you've got like the whole world, I can draw literally anything that resembles a acorn, which is what the first prompt of Peachtober in 2025. If you're like, I could literally draw anything that's to do with an acorn. But if you set restraints like these are colours that I'm using, this is a theme that I'm going with, this is a story I'm trying to follow, it helps you build on each piece and know like exactly what you're going for. Whereas when you've got like this open-ended prompt, it can be quite hard to whittle down like exactly what you're going for. So I would say try and come up with an idea of a colour palette that you want to use and make your work more cohesive as you're going through the project. I kind of lost this a little bit near the end. I did lose motivation a little bit, so I was kind of just like, I'm just gonna draw whatever I want. So I kind of had a strong colour palette like at the start, and then near the end it just faded out a little bit, which is fine. Finally, I would say to use it as a place to try ideas that you wouldn't usually try, new skills that you wouldn't usually do, make characters, explore lighting, try little comic strips, or use brushes that you don't usually use, or anything just to like push your work a little bit and to try new things slightly. Like I say, I wouldn't try a whole new medium unless you were up for that challenge. But I would say do experiment with different themes, different colours, try and lighten techniques, try and anything new. It's the perfect place to do it because no one's expecting work to be perfect, and I feel like the idea of these projects is to challenge yourself, try new things, create work just to create work, not for like anything to sell it or to have commercial work. And I would also say to revisit them and revisit the prompts. If you had an idea that you were like, oh, I'm sad that I didn't do this, do it, try it. It's a great way to keep that creative muscle in your brain going and be excited about making art again. So that is everything that I learned from doing Peachtober. I had so much fun last month. Like I say, it was stressful. I found myself at the end of the day being a bit rushed, being like, oh no, I haven't finished it. But it was such a positive experience. I would definitely try and do it again, but with a little bit more planning and a little bit more preparation. But I would recommend it to any artist to try, or even if you just want to do one prompt a week, or I don't know, try out some of the prompts that you like the best. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just a bit of fun. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.